Time no see. Actually, I was like the summer, and we just a bit paused my inviting the cool persons and guests to my LinkedIn page, and actually for this live stream. And today I'm super excited to having on the chat the Florian, who is a senior solution architect on data and AI at SAP. I feel this is the best person to have a cool, quick chat this morning and speak about data and AI. Florian, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for the invitation. I think this is a great opportunity to go to one of the important topics.
Yeah, and guys, very as you know, my format is very short, and we try to keep as intense as possible. And today, we'll just asking Florian multiple questions. What actually very interested for me in person, and of course for most of you guys, because AI is here for a couple years, right? I feel like very strongly we start hearing like for 2023, and now is the third year where we are adopting these AI technologies. And my personal opinion, enterprise are super lagging on adopting those technologies by multiple reasons. And one of this reason, this is, I feel like, overall readiness and data. And this a whole topic today would be around those questions. And Florian, you work with data and AI, and especially like retail, enterprise organization every day. And what you feel from like all these AI initiatives, and I know SAP grabbed a huge move on AI in general. Give me like us like high level overview how you feel, how those companies deliver AI. Does this really works, and do they really deliver what was promised?
Yeah, and I think I will kind of talk about it on a broader level, meaning on my personal view, not only talking about SAP, but also what I'm seeing in the market. And my personal view on it is that there's far fewer AI initiatives that the press release suggests. So most of what I've seen in production today is around document extraction, content summarization, internal assistance. So use cases that save time and reduce effort, useful for sure. But honestly, I think that's the easy part. The rest, the use cases that actually move the P&L, they're rarely making it. And the reason I think is quite simple. We are selling AI in a way that we're talking about features, not outcomes. And that has to change. Honestly, that has to change. There's also other AI initiatives that are going to a proof of concept. The demo looks great in the boardroom, then it kind of stalls before it ever reaches production. And there's multiple reasons for that. And you look at when you look at why there's, I would say, even three things coming around. The first thing is around governance and security. That's the number one concern I hear from customers, because governance is not a compliance checkbox; it's a scaling prerequisite. The second one, and that goes hand in hand, what I told you earlier, is coming with a clear business value. I mean, there's too many projects that start with the technology and then work backwards instead of really starting with questions. Hey, we want to achieve or we want to implement AI for demand forecasting, and we want to reduce fresh food waste by XYZ percentage within the next 2 quarters. So the outcome should be first and the technology second. And finally, one of the most underrated topics is change management and business acceptance. So I think that's key to be successful, getting the people involved.
Cool. I honestly so much resonate with me. Just quick story. Just summarize. He said, like, of course, the AI based on the data summarization, and I feel is like most common use case. But what I feel like just to double click on what you said and just to repeat to everyone, like the problem should go first, right? Because this I spoke with one of the as a huge retail organization, like thousands of the stores. And of course, guess who I'm speaking with? The head of AI, the new position, new title, what was like in place for like a year and a half or so. He told me, Alex, is around 360 initiatives I have in my backlog because
Mhm.
they go to people, start asking, hey, what do you feel like is a, and I feel like again, there's a tremendously wrong direction saying where you can apply AI. This is not the topic. The question is like what problems we want to solve, and then see do like can be AI really be helpful here, or we just need something else. AI is not. It's just a type of algorithms. Of course, it's smart. It can do a lot of stuff and make this accessible, especially from coding perspective, etc. Yeah, that super resonate with me. And you mentioned this, but I want to just double click. If you can summarize maybe two, three main things, what in your opinion, like why AI project stalls? You mentioned, like, for example, this may be lack of, first of all, also this what I heard already. You said like this is the question is where is like really value coming from? And second, because again, business anyway wants to see how they can move P&L in some direction. Second, you mentioned the business wants to guard, no, not guardrail. They understand the security, right, and guardrail the AI. Can you touch a bit here, maybe something else, and what do you mean by that? For example, do you want to own the algorithms? I see, there's a huge right now push on towards the open source models that you can really host in your servers and work with that to not give the big models that route. What is your opinion on that side?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, touching up on the topic of people and data ownership, I think I haven't talked about the data itself because that's something what I see in AI project also stalling or because the data underneath them is the most critical part every time. I mean, the models are, I think the models itself are not the bottleneck anymore. I think the problems retailers are facing is that they're operating in hybrid landscapes. That means your demand signals live in your ERP, your customer behaviors lives in your e-commerce platform, so your loyalty data is somewhere else in a third-party system, your POS transaction, and so on. And I think none of these systems were designed to talk to each other in real time at the granularity that AI actually needs. So for sure, a data scientist can build a great model against a clean, curated data set. The demo is impressive. Everyone is excited. But then I think that the reality kicks in and the production, the in production, when the data arrives late, that's something where our customers are challenged with. I mean, think about, I just had this in a meeting yesterday with C-level of a customer. Think about inventory and sales data. They're often batch loaded overnight, but you need to, in order to take decisions, you need to make them happen in real time in a consistent way. And this is currently very inconsistent. Even if you talk about these hybrid landscapes, you have business definitions that differ between the systems. The schema is not aligned, ID is not aligned, master data doesn't match. And that's why I'm saying the model is not failing, it's the foundation. So that means the enterprise data foundation, and here's the key to success. Putting the right data platform here with consistent semantics so that AI is really fed with the same quality of information production that it was trained on. So one unification layer.
Oh,
and if you think about it, AI doesn't create itself business value. It creates value because it can trust the data it
correct.
receives.
Honestly, this is even was before, right? This any algorithm you build doesn't matter like which one you use. Where now we are using mostly those LLMs, right? And they really right sitting on the structured data first. And even I know like all these ERP projects. Why, for example, I love like when we run the SAP customers because at least people who implemented ERP system in place, especially like latest generations, they already move most of their business processes technically digitalized, and we have what we call it like a digital footprint of the business process. But you're right, even like those retail organizations, especially this data, as you mentioned, like even sales data and stock data can really live in so different in different places. First of all, just again to repeat what you say, this how you structure and understand like where data lives. And of course, when you ask on the discovery, the any CIO or chief data officer say, yeah, I have everything. They also say, yeah, we do have everything. But then another question comes. Okay, how is data accessible? And second, how is this aggregated? Imagine we have the customers like multi-billion-dollar account, and they were shocked that they realized on our project that they technically aggregate data on kind of sales data on day level. It means that they know how much stuff they sold actually in the product level. For example, they know how much iPhones they sold last on Friday without even knowing on which POS. It's just single number, like X quantity of this product, which is again not enough for like a business who wants to speak with data. Yeah, and I feel like you mentioned very well, like just before. And sorry, also a lot of initiatives, guys. You can make this right prototype where data science build a great model and show you cool output. I saw a lot of those presentations, especially on these road shows, on the conference, all the conference right now about AI, etc. But then, unfortunately, this future faced with reality, where you're right, they grab the data, structure this data, and run it repeatedly. And actually, even real time is great. At least real time is perfect, but to make it even like daily accessible, it is a huge challenge. My follow-up question on this, Florian, if you kind of can point us or me on the direction, saying where is still like you feel like is a more is like in on architecture side, the problem is of data storaging, because then we need to vectorize best case those data, right? Because if your agent will go and ask the data source, aggregate, get the insight, give you the answer. Of course, it's like usually this is fetching the data to some kind of accessible accessible format, like I don't even telling MD, but at least like vectorized database, etc. And give us like walk through what is like ideal architecture should looks like on like in modern world if you want to launch, and not only one AI initiative, the multiple ones based with data, if you can, of course, high level. I know it's not that easy, but just what's the angle they need to start to how organize those stuff.
Yeah, I think first of all, in order to have a good data foundation, there's three major things you need to make sure, which is data quality, data governance, connectness. So that's everything you need to consider in when you build up such an architecture. And there's some also challenges that I will go through and explain in that sense what I'm thinking about how retailers should, especially when it comes to hidden costs of getting the right architecture into place. But before that, I think in architecture itself, you should somehow have one central data platform, one unification layer, and then use this for one semantic layer to connect data from various systems. So there should be one single system, single source of truth system, where you put the data and access the data from multiple applications. Sitting on various data lakes. For instance, I'm seeing a lot of customers that invested a lot of money into these ecosystem partners that we all know, whether that's Google, Databricks, Snowflake. So how do you make sure to protect that investment in the architecture that you want to build up? And I think the goal is not to have kind of separate point solution, really having one central data platform where then every agent, every use case can be built on top of it. So ideally, the architecture then connects your business systems. But one thing, and I mean, the question was not about talking about hidden costs, but I want to make one thing clear out here that I haven't talked too much with customers about, because there's a hidden cost getting the architecture wrong. Because if you think about it, when it's about tokens, a cost of getting agents running.
This is good. Let's discuss, because
I mean, there is the human costs. If you think about if human doing some work, that's linear, I think, from a cost perspective. But if we talk about agents, you might start with having 10 agents running, and then once up a time you have 200. If you don't have a clean context strategy, the costs do not scale linearly. That's one thing, 100% sure, because you're not paying for how often an agent is running. You're paying for how much they need to understand before they can act. So in short, the token consumption is driven by context, not by usage. And that's why getting the right architecture from the start is a very good practice.
Yeah.
It's really a cost.
Very nice topic. You catch it, definitely, because I know this is also multiple cases where we still guys, for example, didn't really see the really working engines, for example, on the support side for any telecom company, especially here in America. Xfinity trying, I like it though, but I spoke with the head of innovation there, and he's saying, Alex, there's a token consumption. It's crazy. The people still cheaper. Yeah, you're right, because there's actually linear dependency. They know how much kind of support engine can really answer the questions, right? And his capacity. And then you run the agents that needs to know, like, is technically basic information about the services of the company providing, right? But getting this context and fetching them, and actually if you architecturally design it wrong, the time and the token consumption to get the information and gather it is actually tremendous. Like this is crazy. Is the millions bucks. Yeah, nice point, Florian. I feel like, guys, also important to think. It's not about throwing data science on the problem or turning on like the model. It's still like about the also the consumption and a token spend. And the better you organize your data, again, the even small example, I create my agent that actually my kind of chief of staff, I posted a few times on LinkedIn. He knows everything what I know, like reading my emails, etc. But imagine like if you just use a basic CLI like Claude CLI, etc., and ask the question, hey, read that email and that email, or even simple like read my PNL file. This is something simple, right? It's like usually Excel, couple hundreds of columns and a few years history. The one simple question, like ask, just to give the audience example, like if I ask what is my revenue or my EBITDA for months X, takes around 300 400,000 tokens to answer, plus processing time. Again, there's more things, longer it takes, more expensive. Now, when I have a fetch data with SQL, is actually SQLite with a vectorized add-on there, that I have this data is already vectorized. Sorry, that model, that my agent go to the table already having those information vectorized. The answer is a 40 tokens, 50 tokens. It takes 3-4 seconds. And now imagine this in enterprise level, right? Where you have thousands of accounts, a lot of information fetching this it's in there. Okay, cool. What?
That's why it's very important to maybe to elaborate on that a little bit. If you have these questions around, show me which customers are most likely to churn based on their in-store behaviors, their online browsing, their recent complaints in the service system. I mean, those signals really live in different places. So how do you make sure that you kind of connect the entities and encode the relationship between the data? I mean, that's needed. That's the foundation for an AI to act then also. You need, we are talking here about knowledge graph. So that's to understand the full picture and yeah, to reason in that
I
sense.
was saying retails was always kind of more intent to build the apps. And I say your main product is a data lake. Like as you also mentioned, like build your main product is a data lake and think how you can connect different, I don't know, like previously you connect different software, SaaS. Now you just connect the engines, agents, and is absolutely the way to go. And still focusing on like main problem is actually the data architecture and like keeping those data alive and actually already vectorized, best case, that they can really access it quickly. We'll see, because this is also the source of main source of token consumption. Build a great data foundation, having those data accessible, but it's not raw data technically, already kind of pre-aggregated data. It gives you kind of very efficient system. From your experience, and like again, SAP has also a huge story, a lot of products, and they also you mentioned like sometimes didn't speak with each other. What you feel still what they kind of maybe your advice, like very short, just to keep the audience attention, like where you should kind of start from, right? Like how I know like all enterprise businesses want to kind of be first in any initiative. This is like enterprise game, right? Everyone needs to be innovative and fast. But where, Florian, imagine I'm like an average like enterprise organization today, where I should start from. What the
Yeah.
kind of your advice and like on the first baby steps?
And I have advice on that. And let's see how this will work out over the next couple of years. But first of all, my advice is start narrow, not broad. I think the biggest mistake I've seen at organization is building the entire foundation before they're doing anything with AI. I think that should not be the right approach, because if you then spend 18 months on the data platform and then wonder why nothing has shipped from an AI perspective, by then I think the management will lost patience and the budget is gone. So my advice is the following: start with identifying where AI, whether it's agents, assistants, deliver the highest business value. Again, outcome based. Yeah, that should be grounded in process evidence, not intuition. It should be measurable and compelling. That means less waste, for instance. What I'm hearing a lot of times for fashion customer, it might be reducing returns, or it might be for other customers missing sales potential. So that should be the measurable outcome. And I think it's no longer, if you identify this case, you need to listen to the business. And that's also important from an SAP perspective. You're often talking to the IT. I don't know how it's about you, Alex, if you're more talking about to the IT than the business. But in this case, I think this is no longer an IT topic. You need to talk to the business, understand what keeps them up at night. Yeah, and then starting to design and deploy with kind of real governed enterprise data from day one. So the data needs to exist, needs to be somehow reasonably clean, and then equip every agent with the context, the explicit business context. Verify compliance. And then I think this is the step where most organizations skip, prove the business impact, and then feed again back what you learned into the system. And I think the last step is really where differentiate, where customers differentiate in organizations from a successful pilot from the ones that actually scale.
Yeah.
So the first step is not a technology decision, it's a confidence decision. Pick one process, make it work, measure it honestly.
And build data foundation as a bricks, adding those new bricks, because you're absolutely right. Like very often in my practice, of course, the head of innovations, they're looking for like, hey, what is like AI can really move P&L. Competera always jump to this topic, like there's some technology that can really move P&L in certain time, as you mentioned, with West exposure, etc. We care about margin, revenues, all this stuff. And then you're right. And guess what? I see on the call or multiple calls only IT team, and I was like, guys, where is the business? And also, like they speak with the business. Just to summarize, speak with the business. You can imagine you have your backlog, this initiative, like the problem what you want to solve, starting from problem, not from the algorithm. Then see that is like real kind of agent AI application here or not. And third one, not data needed, right? Do we need those? Which kind of data? Those kind of system needs to be accessible for. And then if you have all these three pieces together, you can start building. And because also I see, especially like big organization and big IT, right? We need agents now. Let's map all our data, make all those kind of things, fetching and vectorizing, as you mentioned. This is exactly like his best case is 18 months project, usually it's even longer, and still some tables will be missing, guys. Still will be some not enough. The context will be like, oh, we forgot this, we forgot that, and this is why the advice is like start small. Right, as any agile, again, people forget about some basics. Like the agile existed years. The agile said like make something small works, like a skate, then bicycle, then car. Right, it's same here as I hear from you, but thinking from the beginning, from the right data foundation, that data access and governance needs to be in place. Maybe just to finalize, like what is personally interesting for me, what is your opinion regarding, because right now I start to see a lot of, again, we see this European AI Act in place, right? Plus, enterprise was always care about the data, and they really scare that those open models or data science teams somehow will leak those data to public models, etc. Any opinion on that? Any advice, like how you feel like enterprise right now working with this open models, or they moving towards more open source and deployed models, or combination of that? Just any opinion here?
I mean, I think security is a huge aspect, and also I've seen a couple of customers. Got attacked by cybersecurity, and that can. I think if you're not doing it the right way, I think the average cost of solving that is multiple million. If you're failing, I think the average cost of an AI incident is 4.4 million. So so again, governance is not a compliance checkbox, and this is how I would also say SAP is differentiating in a sense that we govern the access of kind of open models and also SAP component, because in the end, you have SAP agents, you have agents sitting outside of SAP. So how do you make sure that you govern them in the right way that they can call the API and suddenly nobody from that asks a HR question gets information, or where it's very critical, where this person is not allowed to receive that information. So I think that's and I think if you go to the statistics, I heard about that only 21% of the enterprises have a mature AI governance model today, and I think that's and there's many customers. I think every second customer is running an AI without a formal oversight. I think that's a big issue. So you need to
this we
govern
forgot,
it.
guys. It's like business, IT, and security sitting in one room, especially like if your organization is quite big. Because, guys, really, what I feel a lot of customers, for example, pushing us to create MSP. For, of course, it sounds reasonable. Like if you can do something in your UI today, for example, I need to go and open new table in SAP, etc. Great to ask the agent to do it for me, but they not really, especially end user, they not really realize that how much another layer of security come up with having those MSPs running, where you can actually the good guys can change the MSAP, what that server can do for you when you auditing them, do one stuff, when in a couple months they change what they can be accessible, etc. And there's no audit trail. I mean, just in some time, those MSP told your engine that I now can do this. And this is kind of, I feel like there's a lot of talks here in Bay Area, a lot of talks right now around the security. Everyone's know that like MSAP is a new HTTP, it blah, blah. But then there's like also new layer of security coming to the play. And this also, guys, the governance and the governance inside the agents is quite kind of interesting topic to discover. But as any new technology, right, it comes with some cost in terms of like, I didn't want here our retailers or enterprise organization that they definitely need it if they want to move quick and give their people kind of quick access to data, to decisions. Of course, by the end of the day, it's all about like how quick you can get some answer on some issue solved. You need to get it. Yeah, and governance needs to go alongside with that, because this is what I feel like a lot of IT initiatives stuck for two main reasons. Like you mentioned, just to summarize three. The first one, again, the data access and data maturity. The cost, we also mentioned the cost. Like, again, this very connected points, guys. The data, not organized data, agents will consume more tokens to get it and get the answer, because they will spend more time on research and more time on fetching this. The second one was a clear and easy, understandable business problem, because if the C-level will not understand why they need to fund this initiative for months, results, the project will also stuck. Third one, this is for the security layer, that we need to be ensure that we secure and actually we don't have this exposure outside the internet. And for last one is the end users, right? And adoption, the change management. I also see retailers a lot of time trying to throw the new problem, a new product on the team, and maybe very small group they are advocating, they like this, but broader group they really struggle to adopt. Again, this is honestly applicable to not only EI. Take any new initiative. I know, like we also used to work with SAP. We see a lot of retailers even implementing some SAP product and Competera on top. There's like the general adoption. People do something in Excel. Now they need to do in software or in agent. The same adoption. No one really. Humans are not changing. They still don't want to do new things and trying new things, and it's hard. Even the AI actually lowered this bar, right? And you can write easier. But in my personal opinion, Florian, I see that even Competera is not that big organization. Our finance team, like finance director, love the agents, they work it, but some account managers say, Alex, for me it's easier. Where can I go in UI and click the few buttons and go? I don't want to speak with this agent. Like I want the old way of thinking. I just want to go and click, and I know that I'm sure that this was done. Yeah. Anything else to add, Florian, here?
I mean, one of the questions that I receive from a lot of retailers is because there's I think a fundamental shift also on the consumer side. Think about the fact that we are entering an era where the agents shop on behalf of consumers. So I have a couple of retailers reporting and told me that their marketing teams are flagging purchases where no humans have been involved. I mean, that's crazy. And so I think one of the, I like the quote that one customer did at a presentation at the forum. He said, we need to also we need to treat agents in the way how we treat customers. I think that was because in the end, think about all these platforms in the near future, we will not just serve human customers, we're also serving agents. In that way, if an agent is doing some buying process on my web shop, so this is I think something that changes.
Actually, it's a nice topic because it probably worth it another live chat around that. This agentic commerce, etc. Is a lot of rumors right now around that, and you're right. A lot of e-commerce, they're really a bit shocked because you somehow need to really treat those guys. First of all, track, like to understand where, because if someone shopping behalf of you, that's how I need to attribute those traffic, right? What the channel is works, like who is those people? And plus on the consumer side, they still scared to give their credentials, etc. But yeah, there's like agents, especially like I feel like I have a lot of on IT, like those API transaction, for example, to buying some servers or some service is more often right now happens on the agentic to agentic flow, right? Like agent to agent shopping, of course, on consumer side. But yeah, guys, imagine Florian, like I see how people behave right now, especially teenagers, right? And even like my wife, like she's speaking with ChatGPT or Gemini very often. Of course, this organic next step for her just to ask him to, hey, book me the ticket, or hey, repeat my last purchase on Amazon for that. This coming that direction, the consumers will go there. Yeah, and nice point you're saying, guys, we need to be ready. We can't stop this train. It's moving in that direction already. Now what you can do is just to build all those guardrails and start adopting technology. But I see a lot of solutions come up also, like those generic engines optimization, geo, right, and all the stuff is coming that direction. And I feel this will be new channel for all of us. Yeah, and like I don't know how on your side, Florian, but there's so more often and often my customers come and say, yeah, I just ChatGPT recommended you, or Perplexity gives you put you in the list. People almost stop doing like real research. They're asking agents to run research for them, and of course, why they not ask them to shop for them is a question of time, not the question it happens or not.
Yeah, and it's the same shift that happened to Google in the early 2000s, where retailers need to invest it into SEO. I think now we are talking about generative engine optimization. So retailers, they need to be ready because in order to stay relevant, they need to have the data right. Yeah, the clean, structured API accessible product and availability data. Because if someone is asking in ChatGPT or Gemini, if the product is available, you need to make sure that it's available because they come with an intent. They want to buy something. It's no longer just typing in Google. You really come with an intent. I'm planning for a barbecue party in the weekend. I need this, this, and this. Maybe a receipt for salads. Create a shopping list, for me, and then I want to frictionless do the purchase.
Yeah. This is amazing future. It's coming. Yeah, and there's a question like again, how quick we can react it. And we need to adopt our systems, of course, and starting from data, etc. Florian, thank you so much for your time and for joining. Your expertise was always priceless, and thank you for spending time with us and sharing these thoughts.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure, and